Age of Enlightenment, Part 21. It takes a village. One of the cool things about my home is that we have, through our immediate family, three generations because grandma occupies the basement. We have my wife and I on the main floor, and we have the boys on the third floor. Well, we actually have a fourth generation now. We have a foster daughter who, well, we weren't big fans of the fact that it happened, but has had a baby. And so we actually have four generations. What's really cool is the fact that grandma has really perked up with the raising of that baby. And of course, my wife has opinions on how babies should be raised. And of course, the baby's mom, although she's only 19 and, she's having some issues. That's what happens when children have children. But, we love and support her, and we want to make sure that we give her proper counsel. And, it's just funny how do you have three different ways, to raise this baby. But, the baby was fussy the other day and it was in the crib. And, while we were talking, my wife was gently rocking the crib just instinctively. And of course, the baby calmed down. And of course, the mom was just like thrilled because, she didn't have to rock the baby or comfort the baby. But it was really cool in that, grandma's had some ways where she's like, hey, if the baby's gassy, this may be an approach you want to take. But my point is, everybody's had to contribute. Even my boys, have fed the baby and are just loving on the child. And it's just like this kid, I think, is going to have a good launch because, of all the love in our home that we can pour into this baby. We as a country, we need to realize it's going to take all of us. Okay, we have north of 350 million. We need all of us to get past the next 3.5 years, which are going to be challenging, just like raising a child is challenging. And I think there are three ways we can do this. First of all, through our voice. I think it's really cool to see AOC and Bernie Sanders, kind of being the voice of the Democratic Party right now. They're just getting out there holding rallies. Tens of thousands of people are coming out because there's this void, unfortunately, within the party to, Cory Booker filled it with his marathon speech on the Senate floor. But I think when you don't have people out there raising their voice on what's going wrong, and not only what's going wrong, but what are your solutions so that should the power flip in the next election, I firmly pray that it does, what's your goal to take the country forward and to rectify some of the harms that are being instilled on our government right now? Next thing is concrete actions. Like I love this senator that went down to El Salvador to visit our certain man from Maryland, as he's been called, and to find out that he was alive and just to talk with him and just let him know, hey, the people back home, we care about you. We want you to come back to the United States and have your due process. So just know that people are working on that. So just that visit was a big thing. And finally, we as individuals, I do my little social media feed. I see people, this past weekend marching, and, that's happened a few times and a few weekends. But, the court system through different rulings, the Supreme Court, actually given the rule of law a W this past week. But every time something goes to court and there's a win, or people get their day in court, or they get their due process that we as American citizens should have. And every attempt to take it away, when it's squashed or when people, bow up against the authority, and not in a way, not in a rebellious way, but hey, we want our due process. We want the rights as American citizens that we should have. So let's do it the right way, get in good trouble, as the late Congressman Lewis would say, let's get in good trouble in that we are trying to shine a light on all the things that this current evil and corrupt administration is doing, and try to go through the courts and go through the proper channels within our government process to bring these evil and corrupt things to an end. And hopefully, when it's all said and done, bring this evil and corrupt administration, this Trump administration, to an end. So let's do that together. Let's start there.